What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? I'm Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today. Today is a tough day for Nuggets fans. We have witnessed us lose the playoff game in Game 7 to the Thunder, and we watched Jokic not win MVP this year and Shea actually get it, which well-deserved, I guess. I don't think he deserved it. A little biased, I guess, on the Nuggets side. I thought Jokic deserved it. I thought it was the most valuable player, not the team record award, but I guess I'm wrong. Anyway, let's get into the topics that we have for you today. First topic I want to talk about is Christian Braun and how Denver should address and go about his extension. They're saying that it looks like it's going to be anywhere from $20 to $30 million. Do I think that Christian Braun proved that he's worth that much? No. I don't think many NBA players are worth a $30 million contract. We saw what it looked like when we gave one to MPJ. We saw what it looked like when we gave one to Jamal Murray. Not to say they're bad NBA players, but that is what affected Denver in the long run, especially when they needed their vets back. They needed to get a guy like Reggie Jackson back. I know they traded him for cash considerations. They needed to get a guy like Bruce Brown back. They needed to get a guy like Jeff Green back. They needed to bring in a backup center, and they couldn't do any of that because they're saying Christian Braun is worth 30 a year. He's a great player. His progression has been amazing. Him and Aaron Gordon progressed the most beautiful way that you can. They did everything you needed them to. But Christian Braun also looked like a semi-liability in the playoffs. He took, I believe it was top 5 in most corner three-point, or the percentage of corner threes were taken. He was top 5 in that. And he wasn't hitting them at the rate we needed him to. Sometimes you were able to see him do what he needed to do, get his 18 points here, get his 20 points here, grab his 10 or 11 rebounds here. But until that's a consistent role where he's grabbing 8 rebounds a game, where he's putting up 20 points a game, I don't think he's personally worth that 30 mil. And then that also hurts them when it goes into free agency, looking at what vets you can sign. I do think that there are going to be some moves that Denver makes that is going to help them. And that is probably going to be trading a guy like Porter Jr. and Murray. And, we've talked about it, and we'll continue to talk about it in the future episodes. And that's another thing I'm going to break down in a little while, because there's some things I'm seeing that I'm not really liking. And I know it's all rumors, and it's all just what people are going to assume now. But I also don't like the rumors being, about what I'm going to get into, even popping up, because it's not great to hear. I think, personally, Denver extends Brown. They trade Porter Jr. for some salary fillers, a few guys, maybe 2 or 3, that fit the roster, and they go out and attempt to sign, if they're able to, get 1 or 2 players on their bench, maybe 1 veteran on a vet minimum, and maybe 1 guy under contract. Again, as I've been saying, it all depends on what Saric and Jamal do with their contracts. But the next topic I want to get into is what I was just talking about, and that topic is make moves to compete now. I'm reading a lot of on X, or formerly known as Twitter, of people saying that whatever this next year entails is going to be another filler year for the Nuggets, because these players that you're going to bring in if you trade a guy like Porter Jr. are just fillers. But I don't truly believe that. I think if you just get the right guys off the bench, Nikola Jokic can make do with what he has. If you get the right backup center off the bench, Nikola Jokic can get some minutes and sit down and get a fresh set of legs again. I think that's what Denver was missing. We've seen it a couple of years where they weren't able to get it done. Obviously, they played some better teams in their conferences, but they had backup centers that fit for them. Jeff Green was playing backup center, and he was great because he was versatile. He was able to shoot a little bit. He was getting rebounds when Denver needed him to get rebounds. I also think guys like Mason Plumlee were great when he played for Denver. I think a guy like DeMarcus Cousins was great when he played for Denver. He gave us the offense. He obviously wasn't the player that he once was, but he gave us the offense that we needed when Jokic was on the floor. Well, wasn't on the floor, and that's what Denver's lacking now. I do think Deron Holmes can be that guy, but I also think he's more of a power forward backup center hybrid, where he's a role that could play next to Jokic off the bench, if that makes sense. I also think that Peyton Watson can only stay on this team if Denver has a 5-man or four strong guys, I guess, off the bench, where he doesn't have to take shots. He doesn't have to take 6 or 7 shots, 3 shots being from the 3-point line. He's good, and he would fit the right team, but I don't think that Denver's the right team until they get 3 more guys off the bench that can actually play with him, who are actually talented enough to play in a playoff game. I think again, as I've been saying, I think it's time to move on from either MPJ or Murray. I think everybody at this point thinks MPJ is the guy to go. Murray only goes if it's the perfect trade, which I don't think you can find in Murray at this point. And I think MPJ, his playoff performance sort of hurt him more than helped him, and it hurt Denver in what they can trade for. But I would be fine with trading him for the 10th pick. I'd be fine for trading him for a high pick and maybe one or two guys that we can actually rely on. Whether that be to again, I think I covered this last episode, but a team like the Jazz where we can attempt to get Colin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson, or a team like the Pelicans. A guy I would be fine getting if I'm Denver is CJ McCollum. Bring him in at the 2 if we're going to keep Jamal Murray. Move Brown down to the 3. If you're able to keep Gordon, that's fine. But now you have a shooter in McCollum. Sure, Denver's defense wouldn't be, amazing. You sort of lose the height there. But that's why you have to prioritize a backup center. Talking about the height here, obviously we're talking about our backup big. And there's another extension coming up, and that's Jokic's extension. And I think the best way, this is what I was saying that I'm seeing on X, formerly known as Twitter. All these reports on people saying that Denver should trade Jokic and get what they're able to now, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think that's ever the right thing to do. I think you need to hold on to him as long as you can so he can retire there, because even when he fades out, he's still going to be an amazing player because his game isn't based off athleticism. So when his athleticism fades when he gets older, it's not going to affect Denver too much because he plays like a big who passes the ball and shoots. That's how he plays. He plays a slow pace of basketball. But if Denver gets rid of him, you are now putting yourself in a hole. Unless you want to rebuild for the next 10 years, you are putting yourself in a hole because there will be no getting around Nikola Jokic now. Once you put him on a team that's competent and capable, there is no getting around him. And I think everybody sees that at this point. This guy was making Will Barton look like a mid-max contract player. This guy made KCP look like a $20 million a year player. He's made, and as we've seen, Jamal and MPJ look like they're worth $20 to $30 million a year. So again, if I'm the new manager, what I want to do is address Jokic's extension, address Brown's extension. If you're able to get Brown out of that 30 million range and maybe into the 20 to 22, that's way more beneficial for the team, obviously. And I think you try to bring Jokic back on that supermax, trade MPJ. If you can get something for Murray that makes sense, do that. Keep Aaron Gordon. I think you keep Strother. That's my big thing. I think Strother is good and he can be a spark off the bench, but you have to get a competent backup point guard because I think that Russ is done here. I think you need to, if you can replace Peyton Watson and trade him, then go for it. But at the same time, I'm fine with keeping Watson. I'm fine with keeping Holmes. Try to go get one or two more guys off your bench now. You need that backup big and let De'Ron Holmes play power forward. I think that would be great for Denver. I think you can go out. I think you can try to find maybe a vet minimum center out there that fits your team, gives you those backup big minutes. I think Luke Kornet's a great signing. I think he'd be amazing for Denver. Gives you 8 to 12 minutes that you could actually play basketball with him on the floor. So why not? Then you have to go find your point guard. Maybe bring in Brucey again. Bring in Bruce Brown. I'm fine with that if he signs a contract that is team-friendly for Denver with maybe a player option, maybe a team option on the back end, and he's able to play the 1 through 3, maybe the 4 for us, a small 4. I would love bringing Brucey Brown back to Denver. I think that's great. This last topic I want to talk about is not really off-season based, but I think that it was pretty funny, and it got me a little mad because this is a guy I've defended for so long, and that is Mike Malone and his comments on the broadcast last night for Thunder T-Wolves Game 1, him saying that Shea is easily the MVP and that the Thunder fans are the best fans. Is Mike Malone being petty? I think it's all pettiness, if you ask me. George Karl had gone out and tweeted about it and said that, obviously Jokic is the clear MVP this year, regardless if he wins the award or not, and he might be the only former coach to see that. So that's just a quick note I wanted to throw in here. I think it's hysterical because, again, this is a guy who I backed up. I thought he was amazing. He's a Queens guy. I'm from Queens. I represent New York, even though I'm a huge Denver fan. And it's funny to hear how petty he still is when everything that he was petty about is now gone. You're not a coach here anymore. You don't have to deal with Calvin Booth because he's also gone, and that was a big thing. But why are you saying that Jokic doesn't deserve MVP when 3 months ago, before you got fired, you were praising him and saying how good he was? Why are you calling OKC's fans the best fans in the world? That is an extreme level of pettiness from a grown man. And again, I've backed this guy. Every single time somebody said that Mike Malone's not making the right decision, I backed him. I thought he was great. I thought he helped us. I thought he was a huge factor in us winning a finals. I thought he made the right decisions when it came to coach management. I thought that he was fine when he wasn't playing Calvin Booth's guys and they were getting mad. But you have to grow up now. It's over. I know that, and as somebody who works in television, I know how it works. You work with producers. They tell you what they want you to say. But there are some things you could throw in there, and I'm sure the producers did not say, hey, Mike Malone, go hype up Shea in the Thundercast, unless you got extra money for it, Mike Malone. Unless they paid you extra money to go say that. I do not believe they told you to say that. I think that you need to grow up now, stop being so petty, and get over it. I'm sure you'll be able to coach somewhere next year if you're not an analyst by next year. But Jokic is the reason that you weren't an analyst sooner. So for you to not sit here and say that Shea deserves the award over him is completely idiotic. And I think it is so childish. And I think you need to grow up. Congratulations on the new analyst job. I did love you as a coach. I wish that you were still our coach. I didn't think that Edelman did the best job. I know that I thought he had his flaws. But grow up, Michael Malone. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. We'll have some more offseason moves or what I think Denver should do coming up soon. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this playoffs if you're watching. If you like the content, please like, please subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.